episode where I'm going to try and make sense of something that really doesn't. The age of the Doctor. But beyond that, I'm going to take the few ages given out in the show and a single one from the novels and try to work out roughly how long each incarnation lasted. Now, this cannot be authoritative. Even only dealing with the TV show, the Doctor's age is too contradictory, so take all this with a grain of very well thought out salt. I'm also taking the years given in the ages as our years, even though years could conceivably be any length of time depending on the planet. Okay, first up, the times the Doctor is given his age. 1 regenerated into 2 before the age of 450. In Tomb of the Cybermen, 2 gives his age as something like 450 years old, and Tomb is in 2's second series. 4 consistently gave his age as around 750 years old until Romana corrected him and said he was 759, and later in the Key to Time he was 760. 6 claimed to be 900 in 2 different stories, in 2 different series, so a bit of vanity there. In his first story, 7 said he was 953. So how do I square this up with 9 claiming to be 900? Simple, this is where a novel comes in. In Vampire Science, 8 decides to count his age from his most recent regeneration, making him 3. Assuming this is kept up, that means 9 can easily be 900. 10 gave his age at 903 and 906. 11 had the longest life from 907 until he died of old age at the age of 2100, or so. 12 gave his age consistently as over 2000. Okay, how to separate how long each one lived? Well, some are easy. 10 lasted a few years. He's probably remembered like an embarrassing bender. And 11 had over 1,100 years. Now 11 is interesting because he started young and died of old age, meaning we can get a gauge on how long a Time Lord incarnation can be expected to live, over 1,000 years. But 1 died of old age, didn't he? Surely this contradicts 1. Not really, though. In Daleks' master plan, 1 was hit with a Time Destructor, a weapon that made time affect you much faster than it should. Sarah Kingdom went from her 20s to an old woman to dust and the Doctor survived. I'm guessing they were hit with about 600 years worth of time, making 1 die prematurely of old age on the 10th planet. So now, 450 till 750 for 2, 3 and part of 4. 4 first gave his age when he was still travelling with Sarah Jane, so not too far in. I'm guessing that most of this 300 is taken up by 2 because he ages so much from Power of the Daleks to the 2 Doctors. Note I'm listing the 2 Doctors as the 2nd Doctor's last appearance of the show because of Season 6B. It's a fan theory made to fix a pile of continuity problems that's so well supported it's been accepted in actual stories. It basically says the 2nd Doctor was grabbed before the Time Lord's executed and was forced to work for the Time Lord's Secret Service for a while. And with Season 6B, the 2 Doctors is the 2nd Doctor's latest appearance in the show. Anyways, grey-haired and that, serious amounts of time had passed. 3 spent much of his life on Earth, essentially living in real time. He had spaces to run off towards the end of his era, but he didn't visibly age too much between his earliest and last appearances. And like I said, 4 was early in his run, even though he did have spaces to run off. So I'm putting 2 at about 250, 3 at about 20, and 4 about 20 or 30 before he gives his age to Sarah Jane. There's about 150 years between early 4 and mid 6, so I'm guessing that the majority of that is 4. He's much older in his final story, was without a companion for a while and travelled with Romana. There's plenty of scope for years of travel there. 5 didn't age much, and he had a few points where he could have conceivably run off to have years worth of adventures, and he was consistently with companions with fairly normal lifespans. So my guess is that 4 was about 130 of those years, and 5 was about 20. We basically know how long 6 lasted, something over 53, because 5 regenerated before the age of 900. 7 is a much more open-ended question, though he must have had a long life as he visibly ages between Time and the Rani in the TV movies, so I'm guessing somewhere between 200 and 300 years. This makes 8 somewhere between 1,200 and 1,250. Now, assuming Vampire Science's explanation, 8 reset the clock, and we have 900 years for 8 and the War Doctor. That fits quite nicely, actually. War has to age from his mid-30s till his 70s, so I'm giving him 700 years and 8 200. That'll just about get him to the age he was in Night of the Doctor. New Who forces me to do a little less guessing, which is a little less fun. Anyway, 9 seems to have lasted for a very short time. They don't state that Rose was his only companion, but it seems likely. So I'm guessing he only lasted a few years. We know 10 lasted about 6 years because Russell T Davies thought that was a good idea. Not sure he ever got his mind around the point of a slow-aging hero who likes to run off and leave narrative gaps for future stories. Anyway, 11's age is very well covered in the show. He was 907 in Flesh and Stone, about 1,200 in a town called Mercy, and spent 900 years in Trenzalore, making him about 2,100. Now with 12, I'm ignoring the confession dial stuff because he didn't age. And because it clearly didn't actually happen, it was all in his mind. Anyway, 12 consistently gave his age as over 2,000, and apparently taught at the university for over 50 years, and spent 24 years with Uber Song. Add to that the big narrative gap between series 9 and 10, and 12's propensity for running off, and I'm guessing it at least 200 years, making him 2,300 when he became 13. Add the classic Who ages to this, and you get a 13th Doctor who is a sprightly 3,500 years old. Out of an average lifespan of 13,000 years, if the 11th Doctor's lifespan was typical, for a Time Lord who regenerates young and dies old, making her somewhere in her late 20s by Time Lord standards. Anyway, 1 lasted about 450, 2 lasted about 250, 3 about 20, 4 about 150, 5 about 20, 6 about 60, 7 about 200, 8 about 200, War something like 700, 9 a couple, 10, 6 or 7, 11 about 1,200, and 12 about 200. Now, even when it comes to TV stuff, this isn't perfect. 3 claim to be several thousand years old, New Who shit the bed badly when it retconned the Doctor's age, and then Moffat made it worse by making 11 age 200 years between series and not aging a day. But I think I've done a fair job at this. What do you think?